Can you enjoy RV camping in the winter? How do you keep your RV warm? What about using an RV without running water? We cover everything you need to know for a comfortable cold weather camping experience in this episode of the Restless Nomads RV Show. Welcome to the Restless Nomads, the ultimate RV show for modern-day rubber tramps and weekend warriors alike. Whether you're chasing sunsets full-time, savoring seasonal escapes, or just hitting the road for a quick weekend getaway, this is your go-to show for tips, tricks, and tales from the road. Join us as we dive into everything RV, choosing the right rig, surviving life on wheels, and navigating the highs and lows of life on the move. From towables to motorhomes, budget hacks to campsite secrets, we've got you covered. So buckle up, nomads, and let's hit the road to adventure, 1 mile at a time. Welcome back to the Restless Nomads RV Show. I'm your host, Mike Wood. You can hear this at 7 a.m. on Saturdays in Klamath Falls, Oregon, on Gold Country Radio 103.3 FM. Also again at 2 p.m. on Sundays. And then anytime you want on goldcountryradio.org, just hit featured shows. Available wherever you get your podcasts. Well, today we're talking about wintertime RV camping. First, let's get into the RVing news. Now, Big Sky RV has a winter camping initiative. It's a regional RV dealer in Montana, and they have launched a camping support program, winterization assistance. They'll also offer free seminars and discounts on cold weather camping gear through March of 2025. Now, the purpose of the initiative is to help RVers enjoy year-round camping while protecting their rigs from cold-related damage. They offer some customer support on-site winterization services at discounted rates and free hot beverages for visitors. There's a big commitment to the community. They highlights Big Sky RV's dedication to supporting RVers who embrace winter camping. Additionally, you can find information at bigskyrv.com. Well, let's dig into it. Winterizing your RV. Now, whether you choose to do this or not will depend on how often you intend to use the RV over the winter, as well as where you're located. If you're down in Florida, you're likely not really going to have to winterize your RV. If you're where I am in Oregon, winterizing your RV is probably a good idea. Now, winterizing your RV is crucial because it'll prevent pipe damage and primarily it'll prevent damage to your water system. That's what you're doing when you're winterizing something. You're getting all the water out and replacing it with antifreeze so that the water doesn't freeze in those pipes and fixtures and expand and then blow it all to heck. So one of the most important things is to drain and bypass the water heater. You don't want antifreeze in your water heater. Because in the summertime, you can get it out. It just is a real pain in the butt. So on the outside, where your water heater vent panel is, you can just take that down. There's a little pressure relief valve. Just drain the pressure off. And then usually there's a little plastic bolt that you can use a wrench and then unscrew that and you'll let your water heater drain. Usually right behind the water heater, you'll find the bypass valve, and you might want to refer to your paperwork that you got with your RV, but generally it is right behind that water heater. If you have a tankless system, you don't even have to worry about this. Now, it's really important to note that when you're winterizing your RV, you're going to drain everything from the low points, and those are usually in the back of the RV. Many times there's an external shower really close by. So you'll go to the back of the RV and you'll open those valves. You'll have little caps on the hot and cold water lines. Those are your low points. So first things first, drain your fresh tank completely. And then you want to open those valves to the low points. And then you go inside and open all the faucets to the shower, to the kitchen sink, to the bathroom sink, and any faucets you have in there, And then it's important to also to flush your toilet. Hold down the water function on your RV toilet so that you can get rid of all that water and it gets out. Obviously, you want to winterize with empty black and gray tanks. That should already be done when you get to this point. So you're going to drain all the water out of that system. And what that does when you remove, when you have the pressure relief off of the low point, so you've opened those valves and you go inside and you open all the faucets, it's kind of like that drain on the top of a thermos lid. It allows all that water to escape and none of it will be retained within that system. Now, some people use air compressors and they blow out their lines. Some people use air compressors and literally blow out their lines. They do damage to the water system, so just be careful with that. If you have PEX line, you'll probably be safe, but why take the chance? It's better just to let it drain for a couple hours and make sure that most, if not all, of the water is removed from that. Now, once you get all that done, you can go ahead and close up all your faucets and everything, and you want to go ahead and cap off and close the low points for the draining. You're all drained out at this point, and now you're going to replace that water that was in the system, now it's just air in there, with antifreeze. And this is super important. There are two things, and you can find them at Walmart and RV, well, not necessarily RV stores, but you'll find them in automotive stores and things like that. There's antifreeze, and then there's de-icer. Antifreeze, RV, marine grade antifreeze is what you want. It's generally pink. De-icer is toxic, and if you put de-icer in your system, it could cause some really, really bad things if later you try to get rid of that de-icer and then fill everything up with fresh water and then go to drink that water. It's toxic. So do not use de-icer. It is not the same thing. It is super toxic, and you'll ruin your kidneys in the summertime when you bring it out to go camping. And it would take a long, long time to flush all of that out. So that's important. Also, insulating any exposed pipes outside of the RV when you're winterizing is a good idea. I generally begin winterization as soon as nighttime temperatures start getting close to freezing, if I'm going to do it at all. Now, you can kind of get away with not winterizing. We didn't winterize for 6 years. We lived in a rather temperate location. It got below freezing very rarely. We had all of our tanks and all of our valves for the black water and the gray water up in the belly of a motorhome that was right next to the heating ducts for the furnace, and we lived in the RV at the time. So we really didn't feel like it was necessary to winterize it, the water system, in that way, and we never, ever had a problem. But we kept it a toasty 70 degrees in there all winter long, without fail. So there's your options. If you have to winterize because you're not going to be using it over the winter, or maybe you are going to be using it but not living in it, and so it's going to get cold inside, you need to winterize. And if you don't, what will happen is you pull it out to go camping in the spring, and you kick on that water pump, and then faucets will start blowing up. We've had this happen. First camping trip of the season, the hot water handle on the bathroom faucet just shot and hit the ceiling, and then it was just water spraying everywhere. So I had to kick off the water pump and go and figure that out. Which, hey, by the way, pro tip here, when you leave the campground for any length of time, if you're connected to the city water, you want to make sure that that city water is turned off externally, outside, where it is fed in. That way, if you're away and something should happen, this is pretty much year-round, especially if you're going to leave for hours at a time. If something should happen and you have a failure in the water system, you don't come home to the RV to a flooded-out camper. So monitor your temperatures. Make sure you're avoiding freezing issues. If you're in Florida, you're probably good to go. Anywhere north of that, you might want to consider winterizing the RV, especially if you're not going to be constantly using it all winter long. So let's get into some winter camping strategies. If you do not want to winterize and you're going to be living in it, it's a great idea to insulate the windows, and you can also use tank heaters. You can buy those aftermarket. I think they're probably $120 to $150 and install them. They link up right with your battery, and you can run your charger will also keep your battery topped off, but most of them are 12-volt systems, and they're just like big heating pads with adhesive sticky stuff on it, and you can pop those right onto your tank and then route the wires to your battery, and it has a thermostat in it, and when the thermostat starts to get close to freezing, it'll kick on and it'll keep the contents of that tank from freezing. I did that. I installed the tank heaters on the trailer, and I've been successful at it. I've got one pad on the low point of each tank, and that's really important because that's where the water is going to collect, or the waste or whatever. It's going to be at the low point in that tank, so you want to make sure that the pad is right on there. Now, if you're also camping in the wintertime, it's really important to be aware of good ventilation, and it kind of seems counterintuitive to open a vent or a window when it's 17 degrees outside. But trust me, you'll want to do that because even the moisture from your breath will create a high humid environment in that RV, and you'll start having sweating on the interior of that RV. Now, what does moisture create? Mildew. So it's really important to keep that RV ventilated. And then another great idea, if you're going to be RVing in the winter, is to have either the Ridex, or what is it called? It's Damp Rid is the brand name. But they're little moisture collectors. They've got crystals, and they collect moisture out of the air. Or even buy a dehumidifier to get rid of all that humidity within the vehicle. And then also have it vented. So keep your top vents, especially if you have covers, keep those cracked a little bit to let some of that moisture out. So if you're not in the RV living in it all winter long, you're going to have to winterize the water system, and you're going to have to figure out some alternate ways of camping, primarily toilet use and water usage, right? For showers, you're just kind of out of luck. You're going to have to go to a truck stop or something like that. But here's a suggestion. If you did have to winterize your RV's water system and wastewater system, what you can do is get heavy-duty trash bags and cheap kitty litter, and then just put those, like one of those trash bags in the RV toilet, and throw a scoop of kitty litter in there, use it as normal, bag it up, and then take it to the dumpster. And that is kind of gross, but it allows you to still be able to use the toilet in your RV should you be somewhere where there is no public bathroom. Also, really important to use if you need fresh water. So maybe a 5-gallon container for drinking water. They sell these little handheld pumps. They even sell battery-operated pumps that you can put on the top of those 5-gallon containers, and you can use it for drinking and cooking. Now, here's something really interesting and important, too. If you're using a 5-gallon bucket or a 5-gallon container of water, you don't want that water, that fresh water, to go into your gray tank because it's going to dilute the antifreeze that's in the gray tank, and it'll raise the freezable temperature of that water, of that liquid. So it's really important that you put some kind of a basin, a bucket, a pot, something like that in the sink to catch all that wastewater. And then as long as it's just gray water, you can toss it out your door, walk it out to the edge of camp, or if you're in an organized campground, they usually have gray water disposal. Just walk it over there and dump it in. So you're not going to be able to take showers really in the wintertime in your RV. So like I said, truck stop showers, stay in a hotel every once in a while. Just go funky. You can also buy wipes and portable showers for outside with like a shower tent, and you can warm up some water and do it that way as well. Well, hey, after the break, we've got your RV pro tip of the week. And of course, if you're just tuning in, don't forget that if you missed the first part of this show, you can catch it at goldcountryradio.org. Just click on featured shows and then select the Restless Nomads RV show. All right, we'll look forward to getting into the RV Pro Tip of the Week right after the break. Want to get your business noticed? Sponsor a show on KKFO Gold Country Radio on 103.3 FM and create awareness through on-air announcements, our online stream at goldcountryradio.org, and our podcasts that live on forever. Your message reaches a broad local audience while also targeting listeners who choose to tune in to the shows they love. Plus, we promote your sponsorship across our website and social media. For more information, email goldcountryradio@gmail.com. Call 541-238-6989 or visit goldcountryradio.org. Gold Country Radio, your message heard locally and beyond. Welcome back. It's Mike Wood, the Restless Nomads RV Show. And this week's RV Pro Tip of the Week is to always weigh your RV fully loaded before hitting the road. Now, a lot of people out there exceed their gross vehicle weight rating, or GVWR, and that can lead to all kinds of troubles like tire blowouts and suspension damage. Also create unsafe handling. Now, you can just visit any CAT scale at a truck stop and try to get your load distributed evenly, and I think it's about $14 usually to get weighed. And then you can compare your numbers, your real numbers, fully loaded, with the numbers on your GVWR rating on the side of the RV, or even in the driver door on the door jamb. It's usually listed there as well for motorhomes and things like that. So take into consideration, if you're pulling truck and trailer, there are two different GVWR numbers. One will be for the trailer, the other for the truck. If you're in a motorhome, you've only got the one. Now, with trucks and trailers, here's a really important note. There are so many trucks out there that have huge towing capacity numbers, but that number quickly never gets reached, and you can still be unsafe. And that's because of the tongue weight of the trailer will quickly exceed your payload rating before you'll ever get to your towing capacity. So make sure that you know make sure you know your payload capacity weight, and make sure you know your tongue weight, and make sure that that never exceeds that. Important tip here as well. Don't try to get less tongue weight by putting more weight behind the axle on the trailer, because that will also cause for an undistributed load and cause swaying, which if you've ever watched YouTube videos of trailer sway, that does not look like fun and not something you want to experience. Speaking of which, if your trailer starts to sway, do not hit the brakes. That is what most people instinctively do, and that worsens the trailer sway. Remember to hit your accelerator to get that trailer straightened out, and hold on for dear life. All right, so there is your RV pro tip of the week. Make sure you're aware of your weights. Back to the main topic, RVing in the winter. Let's talk about some heating options for winter RV camping. Now, there's, like we said, insulating the windows and reflectix with reflectix and insulated curtains. You can also buy the vent covers, big, thick, insulated ones. Just remember that you do want some ventilation, so you have to have some alternate way to vent if you're going to do that. Skirting around the RV to prevent heat loss. That's a great way of doing that. That cold wind blowing underneath the RV will surely take away any heat that you're generating. So these are just ways to make your heating more efficient. And then for heat sources, some folks are lucky enough to actually have a wood stove. That's usually an aftermarket installation, and that is super neat. For normal RVs that come from the factory, usually you have a propane furnace and maybe a heat pump, but that propane furnace combined with an electric space heater is what we've always used to maintain the temperature. And we use both, and let me explain why. So generally, when you go to an RV park for a short-term stay, be it a day, a week, or a few weeks, you're not paying for the electricity. So you can use your furnace, which is usually, RV furnaces are generally way overkill and very, very good at getting that small space warm. So when you first get back, use your furnace to get it to the temperature that you want, 68 to 70 degrees, and then use the space heater to kind of maintain that so that you're not burning through all this propane. And you're not paying for the space heater electricity usage because you're there only short term. Now, if you are paying for the electricity usage, maybe you're staying somewhere monthly or something, you might want to rethink that. You're going to have to consider what's more expensive, the electric rate, the kilowatt hour, or is it more expensive to burn through propane to keep the furnace going? So a combination of using the propane furnace and the electric space heater, that always seemed to work best for us. The furnace to get it to temperature, and then the space heater to kind of maintain that. And then deep in the night, in the wee hours, sometimes that furnace would kick on to bring it back up to temperature. But it would kick on a lot less frequently if we were using that space heater. Also, important note here, never leave your RV with a space heater on, just like anywhere, right? You can't leave your house with a space heater on. It's not a good idea. You might come home to a burned house. What makes you think that an RV is any different? So, important to always keep an eye on your propane levels. Oh man, we've done this before where we've gone camping and we're out there a couple days and it gets to about 9 o'clock in the evening and we're heading to bed and we realize in the middle of the night that we are out of propane. So before you go to bed, especially, make sure that you have enough propane to last you through the night. And especially if you're going to be making coffee in the morning with a percolator on that propane stove. A lot of people don't use those propane stoves. We use the heck out of our propane stove. We love that thing. It is probably the most used appliance in the trailer. So the propane furnaces in RVs are generally reliable, but they require that monitoring. Electric space heaters, they're good supplemental heat, but you got to watch that power usage, especially if you're paying for it. If you do both methods, that is the most efficient method. Bring it to temperature and then maintain that temperature. In some of these newer camper vans, especially the ones that people are building out, they buy these diesel heaters from China or they install the wood stoves. And I've heard wonderful things about the efficiency of both of those. I've never experienced either one myself, but seen some great things. So let's talk about some pros and cons of winter RV camping. One of the big things that you're going to enjoy is a lot fewer crowds in the campgrounds. Of course, there will be fewer campgrounds open, right? But generally, in the wintertime, nobody is out there camping except for the diehard few. And so you'll get to enjoy the space all to yourself. And then obviously there's some awesome, beautiful winter scenery to be seen. If you're into snowshoeing and skiing and things like that, it can be a really great, unique experience. It comes with its challenges, though. Staying warm, you know, one of the things, if you have to open the door for any length of time, you can expect that that RV is going to cool right off. The good thing is that most propane furnaces are able to get the RV back to temperature within 20 minutes or so. But, yeah, just know that if you're loading groceries or something like that and have the door open for a while, it's going to get chilly really quick. Also, one of the things that you always have to be aware of is your water usage. You're going to be able to take with you less water because, you know, it's just not as convenient to have it in the 5-gallon containers or the milk jugs as it is in the big freshwater tank. And then obviously in the wintertime, you're going to have to pay for the heating of that rig, whether that be propane or electricity. Just like in the heat of summer, you have to pay more either in gasoline for generators to run your air conditioning or the electric rate if you happen to be unfortunate enough to have to pay that. All kinds of wintertime activities, snowshoeing, cross-country skiing, winter hiking. There's just so much to do in the winter. We love camping in the wintertime. And last winter, one of the places that we went was Lapine State Park, and that is this week's campground and park review. Now, in Lapine, at Lapine State Park, that's just south of Bend, in between Bend and Klamath Falls, a little closer to Bend. It's kind of the neighborhood community of Bend. But they have one loop open year-round for winter-type campers, and they have electric hookups in that loop. In the summertime, they open it up, and there are several loops with dry camping only. A lot of tent campers go and stuff. But in the winter, they keep that RV section open, and there are several sites, all pull-through, for the most part, on the inner ring of that loop. And then they have the back-end sites on the external ring of that loop. But they all have full hookups, which is really neat. They have water and dump station available. Sometimes that will be closed, so that's one thing to think about. A lot of campgrounds will shut down the water system but remain open. And then they'll also have shut down dump stations. Now, in this inner loop, if I remember right, there were sewer sites there. All of them were sewer sites, full hookup, so you didn't really have to worry about the dump station. In Lapine State Park, all kinds of hiking trails, as well as the Deschutes River, and you're pretty close to all kinds of winter recreation areas as well. It's scenic, quiet, and peaceful during the wintertime, and it's only $30 a night for electric hookup sites. Now remember, if you missed any part of the show and you want to catch it again, all you have to do is go to goldcountryradio.org, click on featured shows, and then you will see the Restless Nomads RV show. Well, it's been a pleasure talking with you guys about some of the exciting things that go along with winter camping in an RV. We covered winterization, whether we have to do that or not. Most of us do, unless we're living in it. And we covered some tips and tricks on how to camp in the winter safely. We also discussed the importance of knowing your weight. So going to a truck stop or a public scale and knowing your weight and having an evenly distributed load in your RV. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week on the RV show, Restless Nomads RV show, heard right here on Gold Country Radio. That's on Saturday mornings at 7 a.m. and then again on Sunday afternoons at 2. You can hear it worldwide on goldcountryradio.org on the simulcast as well, or click featured shows and navigate to the Restless Nomads RV show. Until next week, stay safe and enjoy some wintertime camping.